John J. Will and Zubin this morning. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thanks for being with us. Feels good to be working on Thanksgiving. It's just what I know.
Well, we don't usually see each other on Thanksgiving.
Never.
You're usually covering the NFL, covering the Chicago Bears beat when we were living in Chicago, and I was somewhere covering a holiday basketball tournament. Oh, what life was like prior to COVID.
So now we're just getting up at 4 a.m.
Together.
Gotta
love that.
Aw, see, that's nice.
Gotta love
you.
that. We're blessed.
We're describing NFL teams using a Thanksgiving dish. If you want to do that, give us a call on the Dr. Pepper call-in line, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. We are presented by Progressive Insurance, and all guests appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and that is where we go right now because Peter Burns is
Who we
there.
bit this from.
We did.
From.
We did take it from him. Thank you, Peter. SEC Network, Best Week Ever host Peter Burns joins us now, Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Peter. Thanks for waking up with us on this holiday. We've already consumed cookies. I
was going to say, I figured the Cornettes are going to be like this perfect diet couple that everybody looks around in the neighborhood and they're like, we just hate them. Look at them. Why are they always in such good fit? And then I get the headphones on this morning and I hear Shay just munching on cookies. And I'm like, yes, these are my people. These are my people on Thanksgiving morning. Yes.
We keep it real, Peter. Okay, so let's keep it real now. What's going on in college football? Nick Saban tests positive for COVID-19. He will not coach on Saturday in the Iron Bowl against Auburn. First of all, what was your reaction to this news? We hear his symptoms are mild, obviously a good thing, but what does this mean for Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, it just means that they're going to have to do what they thought they were going to have to do for the Georgia game, right? Remember, a couple days prior to the Georgia game, Saban gets a positive test, and everybody freaks out, and all right, what's going to happen? And now, remember, at that point, Georgia, we didn't know how inept their offense was at the time, so we thought, hey, that's going to be great defense versus great offense. What's going to happen? And sure enough, he ends up finding out that it ended up being a false positive. So for this, you knew when they did the PCR test, it was done. He was not going to be coaching in the Iron Bowl. The players could wrap their head around it. And in a weird way, because they have already been through that drill once before, I don't think the team really at any point, Shay, is surprised by this nor unprepared, because now Steve Sarkisian, their offensive coordinator, was going to take over the reins last time. He'll just do the same exact thing this time against Auburn.
So, Peter, do you think in any way this will, you've kind of laid it out where it seems like it'll be a seamless transition here from one coach to another, but is there any way you see a negative impact from not having your guy, the face of the program, in Nick Saban, physically on the sidelines in such a storied rivalry matchup?
Jordan, absolutely, especially because it is the Iron Bowl, right? Like if this was any other game, but the Iron Bowl, weird things happen, right? These rivalry games around Thanksgiving, always something crazy can happen. And here's where it matters. It's not the first scripted play. It's not the series. And it's not really necessarily the end of the game. What it is the halftime adjustments. Because at some point, if Gus Malzahn, who traditionally coaches incredible when his back is up against the wall and he's on the quote-unquote proverbial hot seat, if they catch fire like they have done before, they did last year, and all of a sudden you go into halftime, traditionally you look at Saban as the general telling all his commanders, hey, you go handle this, you go handle this, we need to make an adjustment here. And now, not that Steve Sarkisian can do it, but those players see someone else at the head of that table. Right. And I think that's a different vibe, and it's about being able to make adjustments. Now, with that being said, I think Auburn's run defense is absolutely atrocious right now. And Tennessee actually showed that last week. So I think it could be a situation where there's not many adjustments need to be made from 31-7 at halftime. But if it is a close game, that's where it'll be a difference.
Okay, you said weird things happen in the Iron Bowl. I will forever hear, Auburn's going to win the football game.
Football game.
It's going to win the football game.
Football game.
My whole entire life. I'm going to go negative here, and I hate to do that on a holiday, but I'm just going to do it. By the way, we're talking to Peter Burns right now of SEC Network on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. If for some reason...
I thought real quick you were going to go negative and then introduce me again. You're like,
sorry.
Man, I'm going to go negative. We're bringing Peter back for another question, so thank you.
He's still sticking around, Shay.
Yeah.
Peter Burns.
That was an awful transition. You're right. That was my bad. I'm going to go negative here now. Here I am. So let's just say Alabama loses this game. They're upset by Auburn. Does the committee view Alabama differently because they don't have Nick Saban on the sideline as their head coach, i.e. like Clemson without Trevor Lawrence, something along those those lines.
Sure. And even College Football Playoff Committee would be the first person to say that. Now, is it the same as far as the player, the coach? I think on a head coach like Nick Saban, because he is what I consider the greatest coach in the history of college football, yeah, they would look at it being different, but it doesn't really change anything. And I guess at this point, Alabama almost has a mulligan in golf terms, right? Even if they lost to Auburn with Saban out, they're still going to win the SEC West. And then what it allows them to do, or what it brings them up to be, is that in the conference championship game, they would have to beat Florida, right? It would have to be that simple. They would not have that mulligan. But if Alabama wins this game, they're still in a situation, frankly, to me, that if they run the table and play in the SEC championship game, as long as they wouldn't get blown out by Florida, they're in the college football playoff.
Okay.
Peter, as a Notre Dame alum, I work at the desk on Saturdays covering college football in the ACC conference, in the ACC, where Notre Dame is in their study abroad year for this 1 year because of this COVID era. Just so happens they're the best team right now, record-wise, in the ACC. I'm always curious to get the take of somebody, most especially in the SEC, how they feel about a team like Notre Dame, because how Notre Dame has shown in those big-time games when they've gotten to the college football playoff, when they met Alabama in the BCS championship game and lost handily in 2012 to Bama. If they belong, has Notre Dame showed you enough this season to feel like this is a team that belongs? And if they did face Alabama in a collision course for the championship, that they would match up nicely in that one?
It upsets me so much that you and Gojo got together and asked me this SEC question because for me, I've always kind of ripped Notre Dame. And a couple of years ago when they made the run, I'm like, listen, I thought they were fraudulent. And I thought that team was not that good. I think this team is different. You see in just what they were able to show against Clemson. And even though Clemson didn't have Lawrence and Uiagalelei was the quarterback, which I love saying because I think I kind of nail it every time I do it.
You're close. DJ Uiagalelei.
DJ Uiagalelei. I think there was enough there to think absolutely that this team could compete. And here's the deal. I'm hoping that, listen, at some point you looked at Shane and you're like, all right, I'm putting a ring on it. We're getting married, right? And you locked it down. It was awesome. Or actually vice versa too for you guys, right? You looked at each other and you had to make that marriage work. At the same time, I think that's what Notre Dame and ACC should do. I would love to see that because at this point, who the hell else is going to give Clemson a run for their money? Like Notre Dame went out there at home, punched him in the mouth and said, listen, we're going to come in here, steal your girlfriend, and you need to hold our trophy. And now I love that mentality out of Brian Kelly and the Irish, and I hope we see more of it.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let's switch gears a little here. Cincinnati, their game canceled against Temple.
Tough.
Yeah, tough go for the Bearcats here. How does that affect their playoff hopes? They're number 7 right now in the rankings.
Brutal. Yeah. Absolutely brutal. Because not only, listen, this would have been one of those probably 49-14 wins. And because Cincinnati's defense has been so incredible this year, and Luke Fickell's done a great job of that. So you needed that other inflection point, and you needed something that's going to wow. I think where it hurts the worst is that the AAC put out a statement and said they both have an opportunity to play on 12-5 because of the schedule, but because of the testing and the league protocols, they won't be able to play that game. So it's not so much as this game against Temple that hurts, it's the fact that they can't play a game on 12-5 because I know that they were actively looking at opponents, whether it be BYU or whether it be a Pac-12 team or whether it be someone else saying, hey, here's the one ad I want you to play because I need to have a resume builder. The fact that they can't play in these next 2 weeks is brutal because they might have still been on the outside looking in, but now this absolutely hamstrings them, and it stinks. And it's a reason why we should be having 8 teams in the college football playoff, not 4. And I never thought I'd say that in my life. Like everything's weird in 2020.
I'm with you.
Let's get this straight. Peter Burns has celebrated Notre Dame here, and he's clamored for an 18 playoff. Peter, I don't even know if we're talking to you anymore. The body snatchers must have got you, but we're enjoying this conversation. Speaking of snatching, we snatched an idea from you because it was a brilliant one. Shay mentioned it as we brought you in here, talking about likening our favorite teams or just teams we cover in the NFL or in college football to their favorite Thanksgiving dish. Yeah. Because it's your idea, it feels prudent to give you the last say in this interview here. Picking a team, and you can pick a college team, maybe it's Alabama, or you can pick a professional team and liken them to your favorite Thanksgiving dish. Give us one of your best.
All right, because I am from Louisiana, I'll go NFL here, and I'll say that the New Orleans Saints are my absolute favorite Thanksgiving dish. which is alcohol, because you know that something weird is going to happen, right? All of a sudden, Drew Brees goes out, and then you get Hill running in there, and Peyton doesn't want to put Jameis Winston at quarterback, and yet the defense ends up showing up, and that's amazing. So you never know what you expect with alcohol around Thanksgiving, and so sure enough, that's what the New Orleans Saints are.
What's the alcohol of choice, Peter?
I like Crown. I'll take some Crown Special Reserve. I'm kind of. I'll get a little bit of the brown stuff.
I like this new Peter. I like this Peter.
Peter goes hard on Thanksgiving. I respect it. All right, Peter Burns of SEC Network. Thank you so much. We appreciate the insight and the comparison on Thanksgiving Day. Happy Thanksgiving to your family.
Happy Thanksgiving to y'all. See y'all.
See ya. All right.
Crown Royale.
Crown Royale. I thought he was going to be like, a nice glass of wine.
And what's the crown?
Yeah, it's been a year.
Glad we got him early. I mean, if we would have booked him maybe in the 9 o'clock hour, who knows?
Yeah, who knows what could have happened. We've got some callers that have called in to ask questions to answer our question about what
Thanksgiving dish
you would compare to the NFL team. Rick's in Tennessee. What do you got, Rick?
Yes, I'd like to say first that you guys are doing a fantastic job. I'm really enjoying y'all together. I wish I was on 5 days a week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome. But I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, and, of course, I'm from Tennessee, so we love collard greens, of course. You got to have that.
Let's go.
That's the Cowboys. And I hate the Eagles. So a friend of mine made some stuffing one time in a turkey with oysters in it. It was so disgusting, and that reminds